and Happy New Year.
I know, it's crazy.
First podcast of 2025. We're back.
I'm Stephanie.
I'm Naomi.
And we are Espace Tricot, a yarn store in Montreal. And this is our podcast all about knitty things.
We've got lots new. We've got a sort of seasonal refresh vibe going on, but it's still winter, it's still sweater weather, and we're not losing sight of our cozy woolly knits. So let's dive in.
Yeah, we've got lots of, we're both wearing brand new, never before seen sweaters. So that's where we're going to start. Do you want to kick it off?
I think you should, actually.
Yeah? Okay.
Because this sort of flows
we're
into
gonna
a few of our other things we've got going on.
Okay, so I'm wearing an unnamed sweater. I guess we're calling it like the hexagon sweater because I'm not really planning to ever release this as a pattern. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a tough one because everyone who sees it obviously wants to make it because it's amazing and it's a technical feat of engineering, but there are some very good reasons why it's tricky, right?
Yeah, so I know it can start to look more like it's made of triangles, but in fact, I'll get a little closer here. You can see this sweater is made up of all these little hexagons here that are six pieces. I calculated, I think at the end that I had something like 450 ends to weave in the sweater. So some of them are just knots, but I actually did do it. Like I really did.
So neat. That's so impressive.
Very tidy.
Very impressive.
But so the way that this kind of works, it's a tessellation of this hexagon. I used all kinds of stash yarn, like you probably recognize things that we've purchased together at different festivals, totally. Little skeins where it's like, oh, it's so pretty. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. So I tried to put them all together.
And you mixed kind of weights as well, right? Like you stranded some of it, and then some of it's superwash, some of it's non-superwash. So it totally works all together to mix all your ends like that.
Yeah, well, I think so. This hexagon that's at the base of it is in garter stitch. And so there's a lot of forgiveness there around like, a fingering with a mohair and then some DK. There's some sport and like you said, really different fibers. But as long as it was generally working up at the right gauge, off to the races. So the difficulty a little bit with the hexagon is that if you try and change the shape of the hexagon or the size of it, the cast on in order to change, the bust size, it ends up changing the shoulder, it ends up changing the circumference of the arm in just these ways that I was like, okay, but I can do that, right? But like the range of the sizing that I could produce is quite small, like maybe about a 6-inch difference from sort of in bust size, which is just not enough.
Yeah.
And what I can say though is that if this inspires you and you would like to try something like it, a long time ago I published a free pattern as just Stephanie Earp. It's not an Espace Tricot pattern. We'll link to it, called the Beck's Pillow, and this is Neurocurion. Where I've just used exactly the same shape that I'm using in this to create a little pillow form. So, if you feel ambitious and like you'd like to try something similar, you could use that as a basis to get that modular shape, and you could start playing with, how this fits together for you. One of the things I did is like, it's not quite a drop shoulder. Like this is an actual hexagon. And then there's a hexagon sort of fitted into the hexagon, which is why the shoulder's so big.
Yeah.
Whereas like you could make it more of a classic drop shoulder.
Yeah.
There's some triangles in here and in here. But, kind of once you have a sense of like, okay, if I double decrease, it creates this shape. If I do one decrease, it creates this other shape. Basically, I pass to you the inspiration and all of the hard work.
And if somebody were to try to recreate this, their template for that would be the instructions for the Beck's Pillow. Yeah,
I think I use the same cast on, but really it's just about, it's like your gauge. And even in that pillow pattern, I sort of say that, like, your gauge will get you this size. If you change the gauge, it changes the sizing this way. So,
but in terms of getting the actual hexagon shape itself,
it's the same.
The construction of through the triangles is the same as the Beck's Pillow.
That's right.
Sweet.
So it's
you have the groundwork there.
Yeah, you just have to do all the hard work that I did, and be willing to weave a bazillion ends when you're finished. But it was really, really fun. We sort of finished it over the holidays.
And you love a puzzle.
I do love a puzzle, and it's like
so well.
It's a wild color for me that I wouldn't usually choose, but I really I love it, and I'm happy in it.
You.
It's cheerful.
Yeah. You need that January.
Anyways, this is cheering me up in those, and I've got like my matching bracelets that I've been wearing with it. Anyway, so loving it.
Really adorable. And you come in with a smile on your face.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah. Okay, so what about yours?
Well, I am wearing our first Espace Tricot pattern of 2025. This is the Trixie Sweater. So I'll spread my arms out because it's you need to see that for the drop shoulder construction. Ta-da! This has been in the works since at least last June, and I had an absolutely brilliant team of testers who were so diligent in just getting along with the pattern, giving me great feedback, enjoying the knitting, which is, you know, the most important part of testing for me. And then I had to say to them all, I'm so sorry the pattern's been delayed because our Jolly DK delivery was a bit delayed until the autumn. So we've been restocking Jolly since October, which, as you've probably heard us talk before a lot on this podcast, is our custom spun yarn from the UK. And where this pattern met this yarn in a really interesting way is that this is the loosest gauge that I've knit Jolly at, I think, so far. It's 19 stitches in 4 inches. So that's really quite loose for a DK yarn. But this lofty 2-ply woolliness of Jolly just blocks out so beautifully that I knew I wanted to do something with oversized construction where it's all about the drape. So I really love how it hangs from the shoulder and comes down into the sleeve. So this is what's called a contiguous drop shoulder, and it's actually worked in the round from the, well, not quite from the neckline because I don't use short rows. It starts worked flat, increasing around the neckline, but you do join in the round by this point, and it's worked in the round with increases so that you're building out what will become a drop shoulder construction, which I've never designed before.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, but you introduced me to a fantastic tech editor who helped me a lot with who basically did the grading.
Dawn helped us with some of the book patterns as well, the patterns in our Knits from the LYS book. And she is an amazing tech editor and grader. And I've turned to her when I've had more like challenging constructions.
Puzzles,
And I remember when we were working on this, and it was the combination of the stripe and the like, how to get the same amount of yarn, sort of stripes in each thing.
Because I didn't want to just say knit this many stripes and then larger sizes are longer. What do you do then? So each size has a different number of stripes instructions because I wanted to preserve each size having the proportional look of the stripes as it gets longer.
Yeah.
And that was also
it's challenging.
It is a challenge. It's cropped on me. I like that. You all know I like that. It's got a bit of a longer split hem rib at the back. And then this cuff detail brings those 3 colors back in too, with corrugated ribbing. So I just had so much fun coming up with all these details. I was getting to the cuff and I'm like, how do I make this more fun?
It's really great. And then seeing, and if you follow us on Instagram, Naomi's been posting some of the tester photos too. And what's really, really cool is to see the color combinations that other people chose. And also that they're relishing those details too, like loving putting that corrugated ribbing into the cuff. And it looks great. It's really cool.
It's been so fun to see those projects come alive. And I hope they're inspiring to all you too. And there's some fantastic notes on their pages too about how they did whatever various mods they did, and one of them made it into a vest, which I think is a great idea because of where it falls. It kind of has that almost like a poncho, swancho type vibe to it. So that was really neat to see.
Cool. So of course, this design is for sale as a design only in our Ravelry store, but you can also get it as a kit. And when you get the kit, you get the pattern included for free.
And the kit comes with the colors I used, which is fern, pink garnet, and Oxford blue with sweatshirt. And then Steph chose her combination. So I made her choose one because I want to know what she chose.
I would choose this is Sandcastle. So it looks a bit like our sweatshirt, but in fact it is an over-dyed colored, so it's a warmer tone. And I kind of am into the idea of doing like a fade where I might start with this, with our rosewood brown up at the sort of neckline here. And then Miami pink, one of the most popular colors, and then fade through into summer peach. So at the end, like these two are quite subtle, and it would really sort of like fade it out. I think it'd be really cool.
And I think you would still see in color work. I wouldn't recommend putting those two together, but in stripes, I think you would see it.
You would see it. Yeah. So that would be my choice. But also, if you want to get inspired for more color choices, for sure, check out the projects on Ravelry. There's tons of beautiful ones. People where they've chosen a dark main color too. It's really interesting.
Yes, it's a beautiful
it changes
one
the
with the
vibe.
dark main color. And then they're wearing it with different amounts of ease. So that's sort of a important thing that I want to talk about with this type of construction. I'm wearing the size 2, which is 52 inches, which comes to 18 inches of positive ease on me. And so that is important. You want that amount of positive ease, or you want a lot of positive ease, because the drop shoulder, that ease isn't measuring the ease necessarily around your bust. The piece of the work comes to halfway down your upper arm.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
And that's where you want it.
That's included in the ease, and that's where you want the shoulder to hit. If you were to knit it with less ease, you would likely need to knit the armhole deeper to accommodate, because we're all larger on the upper arm area than we are closer to the elbow. So there's a note at the relevant point in the pattern, but that is something I see a lot of comments on drop shoulder sweater patterns that have a lot of ease recommended by the designer, and you see a lot of comments on Ravelry saying, for example on Ravelry, just saying that the armhole is too tight.
Right.
It's probably often
because they've changed the ease.
Because they've changed the ease, and even 2 inches less ease will have that sitting that much higher up on your arm.
And I think that's a big part about understanding ease in general. We get into these conversations, it can get really technical, but we say, for the sake of brevity in a pattern, we say, oh, such and such amount of ease around the bust, because that's the main size that we're using. But in fact, in this case, when it's so much about where it drapes, that's not the main issue.
So it's less about how much ease you usually like wearing in the bust on a raglan or a yoke sweater, and more about where your armhole is going to sit on your upper arm.
Yeah.
The easiest way to judge also is if you've knit this type of drop shoulder sweater before with a lower armhole, measure the sweater that you have already that you like and pick a size close to that. You definitely could wear it with a significant amount less ease than I am wearing it.
So the other nice thing is there is a beautiful schematic included with this design that tells you exactly how long this is and then how deep this is. So if you're thinking about your size and you're able to take out a measuring tape and go, okay, well, if I do this size, where is this going to hit me on the upper arm?
And that schematic is a photo on the Ravelry page, so you can access all those measurements before you buy the PDF and decide whether that's going to be for you, whether that style and fit is something you'd like. I recommend it because it's kind of really like stealth pajamas. So comfortable.
Should we have that as like a hashtag, stealth pajamas?
Hashtag stealth pajamas. I think that probably already exists as a hashtag.
Well, we should use it.
Yeah. I do, we wear our knits a lot whenever we make something and show it to you as a store sample, and it sits in the store for maybe a couple weeks as a store sample perhaps, but they often end up migrating home and we just wear them. This one I feel really needs to be in the store because it's one of our patterns and everything, so I'm like, what's my next one going to be?
So what is your next one going to be?
What is my next one going to be? Well, this kind of segues nicely into some new yarns we have.
Okay.
Because one of my thoughts for this would be a great way to use up hand spun and color changing yarns. There's a bit of the Feederbrook behind me. We've talked about that a lot, and we have ordered more. We're ordering some new colors, so I think it'll take a bit longer than usual to get to us. So I might hold off on a Feederbrook version, but I think it would be fun to swatch with this new to us yarn from Shopperwolle, which is the edition 3 DK. Now, we really love the Zauber Ball crazies for the long color changes. We've used that in a few of our store samples and one of our book patterns. And this is a beautiful, similar DK weight one. It's got similar striping to how the Zauber Ball crazy works out. And I think we did put these online. The labels have little
they show you how
PDs.
It's gonna play out. So
I think this would be really fun to swatch with the Jolly. I definitely would want to swatch it first because this is such a loose gauge for DK, and this is a DK weight yarn. So I'd want to make sure that my gauge is working, that it's playing well with the Jolly, because I haven't tried substituting necessarily like other sort of true DKs at a 19 stitch gauge.
Yeah.
But I think it would be a lot of fun.
But it's funny now that I'm looking at it. You're right. It would be good to swatch it. But definitely worth trying out. I feel like the Feederbrook feels a little bit floofier than this.
Yeah, the Feederbrook is is such a similar construction to our Jolly DK. It's also a 2-ply. It's 100% BFL. This is 87.5% BFL. Blue-faced Leicester type of sheep. Cute. Look it up. They're adorable. So it has that sort of lofty spin to it that allows it to bloom, and at the same time it's quite like a bit more resistant to pilling. What I noticed with Jolly DK is it'll fuzz up the first couple times you wear it, give it a quick glean, and then you're good to go. It's done. So bringing in other DK weight yarns at such a loose gauge. The looser the gauge, the more it
Can
can pill,
pill.
because it doesn't have the density of the stitch holding the fibers in together. So that's why I would hesitate to just be like Sandnes Garn Double Sunday as a complete substitute for this.
Yeah.
Ulysse could be nice. This is Ulysse behind Niederer Natura Ulysse. I knit this at 19 stitches and I really liked it.
In a shawl, 100%,
Yeah.
I would want to swatch it, just like you're saying. I would just want to make
Yeah.
sure that I like the fabric at 19
Yeah.
for a sweater. But you were mentioning that there's another yarn that we have that's new that could be
Yes.
good. So I'm
So.
excited about this.
I'm again going to pile loads of colors onto
Amazing.
you because you have to see this all together. This is not even half of the colors we have, I think, and we've got more on the way. It might even be updated by the time.
Yeah, by the time
we've got
this
that
comes
classic
out,
podcast lag of recording on a Monday and releasing on a Friday. So this is Malabrigo Rios. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you want to find out.
Yeah.
This is a 100% merino superwash worsted. It is a workhorse yarn. You and Amalia both were talking about how many baby garments you've knit with this over the years.
And they last. What's amazing is that even though it's this beautiful merino that's hand dyed and you think of it as this sort of like unicorny kind of thing, in fact, like stuff that I made for Veronica when she was tiny has gone on to like 3 or 4 other kids and come back still wearable.
Yeah, that's amazing. I knit before Christmas. I wanted to cast this on as soon as we received it, and I knit a little cardigan for my brand new baby nephew Henry, who I met in the new year, and I made the Harvest cardigan by Tincanknits.
Classic.
Fantastic to follow. I gave it to the mum, my sister-in-law, and she's like, I needed something like this for him because it's an open cardigan. It's really easy to put on a wriggly 5-week-old baby, and apparently he really likes it.
Oh, it's good when a 5-week baby is like, I
Yeah.
love this one.
Because you can tell when they like the stuff and when they don't like
Yeah.
the stuff. They are not shy with their opinions. So I think this at 19 stitches would also be a great choice for this sweater. It would be, I think, warmer because it's a slightly heavier weight.
Yeah.
But it would have a beautiful drape from that soft treated merino. And
But that's interesting. That means that basically there are some worsted weight yarns that could work well for this sweater as well. So it's like if you have something you know you love to knit at 19 stitches and you like that fabric.
absolutely. And
This
if you're
would work.
going into your stash and you want to think about a DK, go for an untreated, woolly, non-machine washable, light spun DK.
And then
rather
if
than
you're in your
something too
worsted
tight.
area, then you can look more at tightly plied or a superwash. You'll get that drape from the superwash.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love this.
You could also strand any DK with mohair, obviously. I would be remiss if I didn't recommend stranding something with mohair.
Yeah, always.
So, yes. I just picked these 5 up and like, aren't they great together?
This.
Yes.
I love that. It's so intense.
Yeah. Beautiful colors on this. And we try to keep a really lovely selection of solid, semi-solids. None of them are solid. They're all hand dyed. So there's variation.
And then, but then also some of these
great
beautiful variegated that like Malabrigo is known for these colors.
Yeah, and they do the neutrals really well too. Like this isn't just, there's so much nuance in this browny purple, mustard, greeny. This is the color Capricorn. I love it.
Well, the one that we have as the main image on our website for this yarn is called Pisces, and literally like we put that up, and I think we included a link in the newsletter, and they were all gone. But we have more on the way, so hopefully by the time you're
it was
seeing
backordered
this,
for a little while, that color, but we've got more on the way.
yeah. So yeah, love this. I think that anything that
Beautiful.
Malabrigo is always a hit with me.
Yes, we're thinking about adding some more Malabrigo yarns to our selection. Let us know your favorites too.
Yeah.
Let us know what you love knitting with from that company. They are some of the most popular yarns out there. Isn't Rios the most popular yarn on Ravelry?
I think so.
Yeah, like the
Well,
most,
I mean, it's in
among
the top 10 most used yarns.
among the I think it's sort of in terms of being 100% natural wool and hand dyed. It's
the number one.
The number one.
Yeah.
What a claim to fame, being the favorite hand dyed yarn in the world.
I know. That's pretty cool. So yeah, that's really nice to have those new yarns and have a pattern that supports them and works really well with them. We have some other new stuff.
We do.
Should we go needles or needle case?
Needles and then the case to put them in.
Okay. So you may remember that Xiaogu launched the Forte kits maybe like 2 years ago. And then
Something
then
like
the
that.
new one, and then they sold out completely. Then they did it
I think
again.
it was 3 years ago, and then we had the new one. The 2.0 was last year.
Yeah, that makes sense. So these needle tips from Xiaogu, which is like one of our favorite brands, we stock all of their interchangeable metal tips in different sizes, and we love their cords. So these Xiaogu Fortes were this special material where it's like carbon fiber for this part, and then a stainless steel tip. So they launched this kit, but they were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And there was these waiting lists. And anyway, the nice thing is they have finally made the needle tips available as individual tips. So if you wanted to try them, but you couldn't commit to the whole kit, now's your moment, especially if you already have Xiaogu accessories and kits. You can buy just one pair, give them a try, and see if you think they're worth the hype.
If you did splurge on the Forte kit, now you can round out your collection, because we know that you'll be needing more tips for that. Because whoever needed only one 4mm.
Everybody needs more than one 4mm. So the cool thing about carbon fiber, if you've never knit with it before, this section is that not only is it very, very strong and it won't bend, it has grip. Maybe not quite as much grip as bamboo, but it's grippy. So like in this section where you want grip because you don't want the yarn sliding around, especially you're knitting with mohair, you're knitting with silk and it's slippy, you have what you need to keep that grippiness. But then the actual tip of the needle is stainless steel and nice and pointy, like, you know, Xiaogu can be, to get really good sort of into your stitches cleanly. You're doing lace, you're doing knit three together through the back loop, whatever it is you're doing, you're going to get nice, sort of nice feel for the needle as it's going in, and then you get the grip on the second half of the needle.
What occurred to me about these is that it is a great choice for knitting summer yarns if you don't love bamboo, because we objectively find that especially 100% linens like our Petit Lin range that we will be restocking again this spring, far and away better result when you knit it with bamboo, just even while you're knitting. In terms of getting an even tension, making sure all the stitches look as uniform as possible, because that's already tricky with 100% linen and a lot of plant fiber yarns. So to have this kind of best of both worlds in terms of a grippier shaft and then
nice
the metal
slippy
point that actually goes into the stitch the way you're used to as you're knitting, I think is a great thing to try if you've been put off by knitting with linen because you think it looks wonky or you don't love bamboo needles.
Well, the other thing is, you know, some of those silks, especially like silk yarns and some of the they bleed as well, the color, and so we've had that happen where you have your bamboo needles turn blue. You know, you're not going to have that issue with this carbon fiber. You're not going to have them stained. The other thing is, I know this is old lady talk. I'm starting to have issues with glare on needles as well. Like I need bright light increasingly to see when I'm knitting with darker yarns. So the idea of actually darker needles, I don't hate it. I think actually that it might really help me in some cases.
And then the needle size is written really nice and clearly on them too. It's actually engraved in black instead of like dark silver.
Yes, I can't see those ever now.
So I don't know if this is going to work with the camera, but I'm going to bring this close. You can see, there we go, a little better how the size is engraved on. And the US size is on the other end of the tip. So just makes it really easy for identifying.
And these only come in 5-inch lengths for now, so you know. But they're really pretty fabulous, and I'm excited to have these in stock so that people can try them out. And then
for all needle nerds, just try another.
Try
another one, see how it goes.
And when it comes to needles, as your resident needle obsessive, longtime viewers may recall that I designed a needle case years ago, and at one point I had them made in Montreal, and then I tried making them myself, but I'm not really like confident enough to continue doing that. So I finally found a wonderful sewist named Evelina. She has taken on creating these for me, for us. So here's our display one. Actually, these are my some carbon fiber needles too. So this is what the case looks like, sort of half open, and then this section opens up, And this is where you put your cables. And this is magnetized, so you can have your stitch markers and other things here. And then there's a big pocket here. You can put your, you know, needle gauge ruler and all that stuff in here. Flat things for the most part. You don't want too bulky in here, so it'll stay
The amount it
well.
holds is unbelievable. I actually, in my original one, have my my Xiaogu shorties in the side pockets.
In the side pockets, yeah, or you could put them inside this big pocket.
Or you put them inside this big pocket, and I actually have my cables inside the big pocket.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that.
There's all sorts of different ways to do it.
I liked having like the 4 different ones for the cables because I wanted to have them by size. So I had like little, like I have my 16 and 8s and then like 20, 24s, and so that I didn't have to like pull all of them out or have them go everywhere. So I could kind of remember like, oh, my short ones are on the left and my longer ones are on the right. But you know, you can use, or you could have put more than one brand in here as well, like, and have, you know, your Addy cables on one side and your Xiaogu on the other.
And it really does accommodate. We don't have the largest, well, actually you do have some really quite large
you can go bigger than that.
You can go even bigger than that. And the way this is so smart is that on one side you've got little to big, and on the other side, inversely, you've got big to little. So when you close it,
you don't have bigs on bigs.
A whole wadge here because you've got big on big, and it's all tiny down here because it's small on small. It balances out so that it just ends up being a really uniform size when folded. This is the, did we call this honey mustard?
I think so. Yeah, this is dark olive.
Beautiful, happy, sunny yellow leather inside.
This one's our sandcastle, and it has sort of like a merlot kind of a leather inside.
And then this is a classic
basic
black. And black.
Oh, and the dark olive one, as you saw, has black leather inside of it. So it's sort of, it's my reputation themed needle case.
It matches the jacket.
Yeah. So, you know, this design came about because I am a needle addict and I do have more than one kit and set. You may be saying to yourself, but Stephanie, my needle set came with a case. Well, one day you may find that that case isn't big enough anymore because you've added so many needle tips and extra cords, or you have 2 different brands that you like, or so that's where this case comes in. It holds 26 tips, 13 and 13, plus whatever else you want to shove in that thing. And
fantastic.
It's the kind of thing that you're going to be able to carry with you forever. And the idea was that it's about the size of an iPad. You know, it's going to go in your bag, even stuffed full. It doesn't get super thick.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing like you can take it to knit night and it's not going to really weigh you down. You can just travel with it and it's super portable. And then the slots also hold other things. You know, you can keep a pencil in there for marking your patterns, keep your scissors in here so that they're really easy to find and if you don't want to be digging around in the pocket.
Yeah.
Crochet hooks. Crochet hooks.
It's basically up to 6 inches is you can get even a little bit longer, but
so 6-inch DPNs, not 8-inch.
Yeah.
But so I mean, if you think about it, even if you do have an interchangeable set, or if you've never got an interchangeable set so you don't have a case because you've always been buying things individually, this could be great. If you think about how many tips we might have, plus crochet hooks and plus a couple other DPNs and things that you want to put in there, I think you could pretty quickly get up to
filling
26 slots.
Oh, so. No question. You can find things to put in the case. Those are in stock now, and I'm so happy that I found Evelina and that I'm going to be able to continue to make it.
I think you could probably fit even some kind of little snack, little candy, something in there.
Like a flake bar?
You could probably fit a flake bar.
You can find them on our website where there's all the information about what the measurements are as well, if you want to verify that it would fit in with your stuff.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Cool. And then this is not new yarn, but it is new colors. So I thought that was worth mentioning. So we've waxed lyrical about this yarn before. This is the Trinity Cashmere from Yarn Citizen. And it's sort of our mohair alternative. So it's a stranding yarn. It's a fluffy blend of alpaca, cashmere, and silk. And we love this. There's actually a bunch of it is in here as well. I used it to strand with some of the fingering weight in this sweater.
It is so soft.
We have a number of samples in it, and it's basically, we hand it to someone to touch, and they're like, I'll take it. So they started out with just a dozen colors. Beautiful, but definitely, you know, relatively limited.
They were focusing on neutrals and paler colors, which I love because we do see that those are the most popular for stranding. But sometimes you need a real burst of concentrated color. So we love the direction they've taken it with their new additions.
I actually think there's other new colors besides these 4 that we are sold out of, but it's on the way. It's literally going to land maybe today. We've got half a year out.
I think there was lovely orange or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that this one?
That the orange?
So this is called Sienna. This is Tarragon. This is Sea Salter. And that one's
this
Aubergine.
Doesn't have a label on it.
It's Aubergine is the name of the color.
I just realized I should print and stick a label for it. This is a gorgeous purple.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's so rich. It's the kind you don't see a lot. I don't know. There's something about it that you don't see a lot of in yarn lines. It's regal. It makes me think of, is it Tyrolean purple?
Yeah.
It's got that
very
richness
beautiful
to it.
The silk is shining through in this in a way that like is really gorgeous as well.
And it's somehow purple only as a color. It's not like a red purple or a blue purple. It's somehow just
like a true purple. And this is meter for meter substitution for knitting for olive soft silk
any of
mohair.
those 50 gram,
like the 25 gram sort of
mohair
mohair. So, you know, if you're looking at a pattern that calls for stranding, you know, with a mohair, and that's a 25 gram mohair, generally this is going to be a ball for ball substitution, and it really does, I think, add more softness. Like mohair's soft, like you know, I say silk mohair blends that, you know, we strand with stuff.
Yeah.
But some people do find it itchy, whereas this is fluffy, but not quite so fluffy.
Yeah.
And it definitely is softer, a little bit more like buttery of a kind of softness.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you haven't tried this yarn yet, I would say do it.
It's so touchable. Like you have it in your hands and you're like petting it.
Well, we put this in kits for the Turtle Dove Shawl by Sari Nordlund. So it's 2 balls of this with 1 ball of Knitting for Olive Merino. Yeah. If you're thinking, oh, I'd like to try it, but I'm not going sweater quantity, that would be a perfect pattern to give this a try and see how you like the feel of it before you know, get into buying more of it.
We have shown this before, but just in case you missed it, you can see even from a distance the sort of different style of fuzz and halo that this has. And then up close you can see it also maintains a fantastic stitch definition that might be a little more unclear and
in a mohair.
In a mohair.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry for my screeching chair. So you can just see the style of the halo there. This is a beautiful project.
And this is also the yarn that Naomi held with Make It Tweed and Knitting for Olive in the warm-up cardigan. Yes. So like we've used this a lot already, and we're not anywhere near bored with it. It's
so many
super good.
More things to explore with it. It would be, you know what, it'd be so perfect in a Musselburgh hat.
Yeah, because it feels so soft.
So cozy and warm around your ears. You could even do it on its own for that. Because of the way that hat, I'll link the pattern below, that hat doubles in on itself and then has a folded brim.
Yeah.
So you end up at the ears with even a 4 layer of fabric. So choosing a light thing like this would make a really beautiful.
In general, like for anything where there's a lining, some mittens they have mitten liners, whatever, this would be lovely for that as well. It just feels really, really nice against the skin and feels really warm. So yeah, we're really excited too that this line is continuing to grow.
So, have you got anything on the needles?
Sort of.
Yeah.
It's been lingering on my needles as I'm kind of in some indecision.
Oh, yeah, this one.
So, this went so fast for a while. This is the Nordic Bloom cardigan by Caitlin Hunter.
Okay, why don't I hold this up?
Yeah. It's on the cover of Nordic Knits, a sort of special edition from Lina magazine, and I think pretty much everybody was like, I'll take one of those, please, because this has definitely been a very popular pattern.
A hit pattern from this magazine, but there are great other patterns in this magazine.
Yeah, it's a great
spread of this. Here we go.
Yeah. So there's 2 versions of this. There's this cardigan and there's the vest. And I thought, I won't wear a vest. I will knit a cardigan. But increasingly, as I've stalled out right here, I'm like, maybe I want to knit a vest, because I think I could have been finished ages ago if I had
you would have been. I mean, that's more than 2 sleeves worth of ribbing.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to rip this back and I'm just going to go for the ribbing. And because what I really want to get to is cutting this open, the steeking, and adding, this, and I have buttons that
That's obviously a button band that goes around.
And I have the buttons, like I'm so ready, and I think I might just have to do it.
It's gonna be so cute over a white collared shirt.
Yeah, like I like the way it's styled.
Even a little graphic tee.
It's quite short. That's the only thing. It's like it has to go over maybe a dress or a very long shirt. Like this is cute.
Yeah.
So that's where I was like, I wish.
Yeah, there it is over. That is a long shirt styling. Sorry, I'm cutting you off.
It's okay. If I was to go back, I would add like an inch of plain color before the flowers and just add an inch of length to this. And I think it would be a more flexible, wearable knit for me. But sometimes you're casting on because you just want to knit that chart. And that was kind of what happened here. Yeah. So this is Gilead, the main color. This is Genet in Gilead by Durerum Natura. That's this one here, and I think we have some in stock now. We have some on the way. It's all every time they have it.
I'm not sure we have this color. We've talked about Durham before, maybe even on the last episode. They are fantastic about letting us know when their colors are coming back in stock, but they don't have everything in stock at the same time.
Yeah.
So we order regularly with them to try to take advantage of their color drops, and so we have more shipping in I think 2 weeks, and I think we'll be able to order again 2 weeks after that. So if there's any color you're interested in and you don't see it on our website, shoot us an email. We can tell you when we hope to get it, but it might be at least a month or more. So I'm not sure we have Genet, but we just restocked the colors that we could. And we have more on the way in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And we just keep on top of it.
Yeah.
It's kind of just where we're at with it.
We
love it, and every time a Durham parcel turns up,
we're very happy
all day.
But I thought it would be fun to like really push the colors and go back to a couple of Noro Curion colors that I really love. These are oldies that they've been around for a long time. This is color 102 and this is color 40. They're oldies because they have those low numbers.
Yeah.
But we have plenty of both of these in stock, and you can see how what I did is I basically I was able to use half a ball for each color.
And we do have some beautiful neutrals in great quantities in stock at the moment. So
you don't have to go for the acid green that I like very much.
I think the Curion would pop really beautifully
with anything, yeah.
Against, you know what? I could say it, but I could also.
You're gonna go get it? Okay.
We've got a pretty good amount of Cell Pure White and Poivre Blanc, like a warm neutral beige. We've got more on the way of this as well, and then we've got quite a lot of Bouleau, which is a bit cooler. Side by side, you can see the difference. And I think either of these would be a beautiful base for any of the Noro colors that we have in stock.
Yeah, we also have some subtler colors of Noro than this. This is very me, but we have some that are a little bit more muted and a little bit more on that subtle vibe.
And our colleague Amalia also used Gilead and another Noro Silk Garden.
Yes, that's right.
Hammer. I'll link that below too. Maybe I'll even insert a picture of her work because I think we put it on Instagram, and that's a sort of a tweedy color with it doesn't have color changing, but it's not solid.
Yeah,
so it brings that level of interest to it too, and it's a beautiful effect in hers. So
yeah, it's a really fun pattern. And also we were talking about like hand spun. If you've got a thick, like more of a worsted weight, Aran weight hand spun in your stash somewhere, this would be a lovely pattern for it.
And then again, also the original in the magazine is just 2 colors, not color changing. Yep. So you've got those options too. They're endless. Endless options.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep chatting about Gilead because I'm on a real exciting path with it.
Woolly.
I got back into it when I was knitting the Fleetwood sweater that I think I have shown on a podcast before. And I was like, oh wait, yeah, this yarn. Because I've been distracted really by Jolly for a very long time. I've been mostly knitting with Jolly DK for a long time. And I did find a sweater by Eri Shimizu, and I really like her patterns. Japanese designer with beautiful structures and elegant designs. And she designed the Niji sweater in Gilead, but at a really interesting gauge, 13.5 stitches in 4 inches. So I saw that and I thought, that's unusual for Gilead, but it could be a really beautiful fabric. And it is. I haven't blocked this yet, but I think I'm going to block the swatch and make sure that I like the fabric before I commit to a whole sweater. Okay. But I do like it, and it's kind of in the same idea as this one, taking a woolly wool and really letting it breathe in a looser than intended gauge.
That's pretty. That
Yeah.
feels nice. It almost
Doesn't it
makes,
feel
it
good?
gives it almost like a velvet feel.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm going to maybe
Cool.
get another inch and then block it and take my time with it. I'm going to be responsible swatcher.
The idea of you being responsible about casting on is very funny to me.
But I wrote down some details for you. So it would
Okay.
take 4 to 6 balls of Gilead from sizes 42 inch to 73.5 inch.
That's
So
impressive.
that's really quite a good use of yarn. Those loose gauges help with taking your yarn as far as it can go. Well, we're sort of going out of order here because wait, we have another finished object.
Yes, I wasn't sure if I was ready to talk about it, but I think that I am. So this is a new design from me that doesn't have a name yet. That's how new it is. It's a scarf. It's a huge, long tube scarf. So it's knit in the round in our Jolly DK. And has tassels on the end to add some even more length and also close up the tube at the bottom.
Hang on, I gotta put this up.
Okay. I really was sort of inspired by some Japanese knitting books that came across our desks, and I just love the sort of the interpretation of sort of classic Fair Isle, but in these really bright colors. And I was like, we have the right yarn for that. Jolly is the thing to do this in. So this is...
It is so cozy. You can really hide yourself in it.
Oh, it's so warm. Like, it's a real
Yeah.
proper winter scarf. It does use 9 skeins of yarn though, like more than your sweater.
Yes, more than my sweater.
Um,
Oh no, not quite more than my sweater because of all the different colors.
that's true, but
It's
yeah,
a real muffler.
It is a lot of yarn, but it's such a satisfying knit, and this is when I asked you to create pineapple was sort of
Oh
for
yeah,
this.
I made pineapple
Yeah.
for this sweater, didn't I?
So we have it's
Sweater.
Oxford blue, the peacock blue, pineapple, red panda, and Arctic blue are the colors in this, but also Hannah, one of our fabulous staff who's moved on to doing schoolwork, she did this and she substituted in brick and honey mustard.
And she made it for her partner.
Yeah.
Who's
A big tall
a
guy.
big tall guy, and I think
And it
that's
looks
actually a great gift for men in your life. Or
Yeah, it's
big, tall
definitely...
people in your life.
I was kind of, when I was working on this and a few other designs, I was really thinking about unisex and sort of the idea of, one pattern that can easily be for men or women and doesn't have a strong gender feel to it.
I imagine this is the scarf that's hanging by the door, and whoever's running errands just grabs it to make sure they're warm while they pop out. to
I
do
love the
whatever.
idea of this with like a pea coat, like a navy pea coat. Oh, so good.
So prep.
Yeah.
Good way.
But I just want to see someone like figure skating down a canal in this.
Or a duffel coat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
So cute, so cute.
So this is going to be, this is a free pattern from us. It'll be in our Ravelry shop, and also we'll put kits together for it as soon as I figure out what I'm going to call it. But by the time you watch this, that will have been sorted out.
Oh, I love it. It's so cozy.
Oh, the other thing I should say is this is a 10 stitch repeat in the chart, which means that you could substitute this chart into my flagship vest.
Oh.
So I've sort of thought about doing that too. I really, really like this little pattern, this classic XO, and I might try adding it onto my vest and
Very cute.
and doing another
Very
version
cute.
of it. Yeah. So that's
Love that.
yeah. Jolly DK for the win.
Well, that was fun.
It was super
Back
fun.
into it.
Yeah.
Love it. There's like a new year, new energy.
It's nice to start the year with a brand new design.
Yes.
And
yeah, that was
new
fun
kits
for me.
and
That
new
was a good goal.
yarns.
Yes.
So, yeah, you can find everything that we talked about down below. We have links, and be sure to visit Ravelry to see the pattern information, and hopefully we'll find you in our inboxes choosing your colors.
Perfect. Love it. And oh, I should have said for the Trixie, if you do want to do different color choices, and you don't buy the kit exactly as is, leave a note at checkout or follow up with an email, and we'll make sure to send a copy of the pattern in your order. And if you tell us your Ravelry name, I'll gift it to you on Ravelry, so you actually have it in your library there and not just the printed PDF.
Yeah, cool.
Happy knitting!
Thanks so much. Bye.